Hi, Trenton from Classic Rides Arizona. Today we're out here working on our 69 El Camino, and this is my personal vehicle. It's my daily driver, and we're trying to kill a few birds with one stone. What we're essentially doing is replacing our front windshield. Last year I was caught in a hailstorm, and it shattered the front windshield. It's all cracks all over this half of the window, but I also damaged some of the bodywork on the roof. At some point in the past, somebody had put one of those tacky 80s sunroofs in here. And so I had cut it out and welded in some new sheet metal, but I didn't get the bodywork quite right. And the hail actually cracked some of that Bondo, and water got in and it started rusting and made a whole mess up there. So we're trying to fix that too. And then I'm also going to put a black vinyl top on it. This car did have a vinyl top originally, and I think it would look really good with the black hood and the black wheels, but also it's just a hard area to get the bodywork just right. And so it should look pretty good and kind of tie everything together once we're all done. So anyways, we're gonna kind of learn as we go, and we'll show you a few tips and tricks that we learn on the way on this project. So before I get started, I just wanted to show you the tools and equipment that I'll be using on this job. I found this cold knife, which I'll be using to cut through the seal around the windshield. Of course, I have the windshield, which I am not really going to handle till it's time to put it in. I don't want to damage it, but I got that from Auto Metal Direct, who we are a dealer for. And then once the windshield is out, I'm going to be using, well, probably some sandpaper and Scotch-Brite to prep around the window frame. Then I got this 3M primer and these little brushes I found on Amazon, which I'll make sure there's no bare metal before I put the glass on. And then on the actual windshield, I found this windshield dam. It's this single side foam tape that I can use to make a nice seal with my urethane so it doesn't leak out and look all splotchy and make a mess. And then I'll use this 3M auto glass urethane windshield adhesive and a power caulk gun. I got a great deal on this one. When I ordered it, Home Depot had a good price on this Ryobi unit. Came with the chargers and batteries and everything for like a couple $100 less than I could find anywhere else. And then, importantly, these vacuum suction tools for lifting off the old glass and lifting on the new glass to make sure I can get it set carefully without breaking anything. So if you're nervous about taking out the windshield, so am I. But the first cut, I'm sure, will be the hardest. So all you do is take your cold knife, get a nice open spot, and you can just poke it in there right behind the glass. And then once it's in there, you simply pull on this handle and try to keep the thing flat. You just start slicing right through the seal, just like so. So the cutting is actually a little bit easier than I expected. You just have to maintain control with this handle here, and you pull with this handle here, and you just want to watch the knife tip. Just be careful you're not cutting any of the interior plastics or anything that's going to show later. So I'm just going around one more time. Some areas the glue that was on here was really thick and goopy, so I'm just want to make sure I got through all the stubborn areas, and then it'll be time to take the glass out. Now it's time to take the windshield out. So this is probably a job better done with an assistant, but I'm by myself here in the shop today, so gonna give it a shot and see how it goes. So I've got my suction cups securely mounted to the glass, and I've cut all the way around it. So hopefully it should just pop up and out of place. Well, it looks like I have my work cut out for me cleaning out the windshield frame. So there's just these icicles of goopsicles hanging down. Got to get that all cleaned up, so I guess I better get to work. A couple interesting findings. As I've been cleaning up the windshield frame here, I found rust here at the bottom, which is probably not unusual since a lot of moisture catches here and probably gets trapped in there, but I did find a lot of Bondo, various spots on the frame here, and what that tells me is last time somebody had the windshield out, there was probably starting to form some rust here, and they just slapped some Bondo on there as kind of a makeshift seal. So I'm gonna have to cut this out and weld some new metal in here while I have everything apart anyway. Just want to make sure I do it right. I got the worst of the rust cut out. I took a piece of cardboard and trimmed it to the right shape to match my cut into the metal. And that'll be my template that I'll trace onto some sheet metal, which I can then weld into place there. Got the patch welded in and ground down. So now I just need to apply some light body filler and some paint. Then I'm going to move on to the back window, have some prep work to do around the rear window channel as well. Then we'll come back and do the glass, both front and rear at the same time. Got the first round of body work done on the window frame. I've been using this Napa Crossfire body filler, and it works pretty good. It lays out nice and it sands really nicely and leaves a nice smooth finish. And then I'm going to use this Evercoat metal glaze to go back and fill in the imperfections here. And then I'm going to call it good enough, because it's just going to get painted over and covered by glass and stainless trim anyways. I'm also going to reseat the back windshield. There's nothing wrong with the glass. I'm going to reuse the original glass or the piece that's on here. But it leaks really bad. It makes a lot of noise, and every time I wash it, every time it rains, water just comes dripping in the back. And I had set these suction holders here just as a clean place to put them where I'd remember where they were. And when I tested to see if they were snug, the glass comes almost completely out. It's only sealed on the bottom here. So no wonder it leaked so bad, and also a good reason to get in here and look at these things yourself. You kind of get to know the car a little better, and I found out that the stainless trim was the only thing actually holding this windshield in place. It's time to start prepping the glass for the install. So I'm going to go over it several times inside and out with glass cleaner and some dish soap and water, just to make sure I cut down any grease and residue so there's nothing that's going to interfere with the adhesion for the primer as well as the urethane. Since I'm reusing the rear window, there's some extra work I need to do to clean it up. Whoever had installed it in the past, when they put the lower stainless trim piece on, instead of using the proper clips, they just used some RTV or something and just gooped it on there and stuck it on. So it made a big mess trying to get the window out in the first place, and then now trying to make sure it's clean enough for reinstallation. So got the proper clips this time from OPGI, so I'll install it the right way, but got a little bit of extra elbow grease to put in to get it clean enough to install. We got our windshields cleaned off really well, and now it's time to do our dry set. You're probably going to need a helper for this, and so what we did is we got it set about where we want it. And one thing that matters here is going to be your rubber setting blocks. And I made the assumption that I could reuse the setting blocks that were already here. They were just junk foam, and I couldn't find the rubber blocks in town on short notice. So what we did is we stacked some popsicle sticks, taped them together, shimmed it in there, and that seems to be working. And then you're going to need to put a light on the inside so you can see your pinch weld around here. And I took these, they're wine glass markers. They're for writing on glass, and they should wipe right off when I'm done. And I just marked all along the pinch weld, and then I'll know where to apply my windshield dam and my urethane when I lay that on the backside. And then I also put these witness marks, just use masking tape, and then I'm going to just cut right along the edge of the glass there. And then when we come back to set it on there for good, we'll have a pretty good idea where to set it, and then just make kind of final tweaks once we have it in place. We've laid down our windshield dam here. It's a single-sided adhesive. It's like a foam with tape on the other side, and we use those witness marks from that the glass marker, so we know where to lay that down. And you're going to need at least 1/4 inch of glass per the 3M specs for the urethane. And then before we lay down the urethane, we need to use our single step primer here. So I'm just taking these little brushes, and just a little bit's fine, because it kind of runs and makes a mess if you put too much on. And you're just gonna lay it on like so, so that the urethane can stick to the glass. We got the window prepped and ready to shoot our urethane. The manufacturer recommends you cut the tip to a V, and then you're definitely going to want some nitrile gloves on, because this stuff can get everywhere if you're not careful. We got our windshield installed. We didn't shoot any video because we had left the window out in the sun and it was really hot, so we were just trying to make sure we didn't drop it. But we carefully lined up our witness marks here and got it set on our setting blocks, makeshift setting blocks anyways. And so now we're just going to let it set for about 24 hours. I believe the manufacturer says this cures in like 1 to 4 hours depending on temperature and humidity, but we're not going to take any chances. We're just going to give it a full day or day and a half, and then we'll check in then. Well, now you know how to turn a 1 to 2 hour job into a 1 or 2 day job. But I'm glad that we decided to try it ourselves. I actually tried to call a number of glass shops here in town, like probably about half a dozen shops, and most of them didn't even want to look at it because it's a 1969. And I just had a hard time getting responses from people. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know that any glass shops would have taken the amount of care to fix the rust in the pinch welds correctly, and there was just enough issues with how all this had been installed previously that I'm glad I was able to get in there myself and put some personal care onto the job. I also understand a little better why they just RTV'd the trim on before, because I got those aftermarket clips and they just really don't fit how I would like them to, so I can't get the trim just right on the rear glass, so still have to do some looking into that. But anyway, it's time to move the El Camino outside of the garage. I've got some other projects that have to get in there and get working on those. But I'm glad to finally have this windshield replaced. It's been plaguing me for over a year. Having that broken windshield just been driving me crazy every time I'm in the car. So I'm glad that it looks good as new again, and I learned a new skill along the way. And the bottom line is, when you drive these classics as your daily driver, sometimes things happen to them. You might get in an accident, you might get a broken windshield. Things happen, but it's better to be driving these things every day. And when things come up, they can be fixed. And if you don't know how to do it, you can learn to do it. So we hope you enjoyed this video. We should have more updates coming on this car as well as our other projects that we have going on. If you want to subscribe to our channel, you can get all the latest updates on our projects. You can also follow us over on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll have all the updates for you there as well. Thank you for watching.